After the dust settled, after passion, I wanted something quieter. A life defined not by ambition and conflict, but by growth and healing. I turned to botany, the silent, patient language of the earth. My name is Giorno Giovanna, and I thought I had left the bizarre behind. I was wrong. My search led me to a forgotten hamlet, a whisper in the Italian countryside, rumored to hold a mythical golden orchid, a flower said to bloom only once every 10 years. They said its properties could redefine medicine. The village was a postcard from another time. Cobblestone paths, houses draped in ivy, an air that smelled of honeysuckle and something else, ... Something cloyingly sweet. The people were welcoming, too welcoming. Their smiles were wide, constant, and identical. They insisted I stay in a guest house at the edge of the village, beautiful, immaculate, but oddly separate from everything else. A gilded cage, I would soon learn. The moment I stepped inside, the sweet scent intensified, a pleasant fog that seemed to dull the edges of my thoughts. I began my search for the orchid the next day. The surrounding forest was unlike any I'd ever studied. It was alive in a way that defied biology. Vines didn't just grow, they seemed to writhe, inching along the forest floor when I wasn't looking directly at them. Flowers bloomed in colors that shouldn't exist in nature, shifting from sapphire to emerald in the changing light, and the sap. From certain ancient-looking trees, a thick golden fluid oozed, shimmering like liquid sunlight. I collected samples, my mind racing with scientific possibility, but my field equipment gave me nothing but errors. It was as if the very laws of nature were being rewritten here. The data suggested a level of organic complexity I couldn't comprehend, almost like a single, unified consciousness pulsed through the entire forest. My search for the orchid led me down a less traveled path, one that felt deliberately hidden. There, I found a walled garden, choked with the same unnatural flora, but among the pulsating flowers and shifting vines were other shapes, effigies, human-sized figures woven from roots and branches, their faces contorted in expressions of placid contentment. With a growing dread, I realized they looked just like the villagers. The same vacant smiles, the same serene postures. Nearby stood a crumbling ancient church. I pushed open the heavy wooden doors, disturbing a century of dust. The air inside was thick with that same sickly sweet scent. On the walls, faded frescoes told a horrifying story. They depicted a radiant, plant-like being, the golden life-giver. It bestowed prosperity and eternal health upon the villagers. But the panels below showed the price. Offerings of vitality. The villagers weren't just living long lives. They were sustaining a parasitic entity, trading their very souls for a hollow imitation of health. Deeper in the church, behind the altar, I found it, the golden orchid. It was breathtaking, each petal shimmering with an internal, golden light. It pulsed, slowly, rhythmically, like a heart. And in that moment, the truth crashed down on me. The orchid wasn't just a flower. It was the heart of the village, the heart of the forest, the heart of the curse. This entity, this golden life-giver, lured people in with the promise of paradise. It sedated them with its sweet, airborne pollen, and then slowly, it drained their life force, their very individuality, weaving them into its network. They weren't dying, they were being assimilated, becoming plant-human hybrids, perpetually healthy, but utterly empty. They were the garden. As the realization dawned, I heard a sound behind me, a slow shuffling of feet. I turned to see the villagers gathered at the church entrance. Their smiles were gone, replaced by a chillingly blank focus. Their eyes were fixed on me, but they weren't seeing me. They were seeing a stray element, something to be pruned, to be integrated. "It is time to join the garden," one of them said, their voice a flat, emotionless monotone. "The giver welcomes you. You will be beautiful. You will be eternal." They began to advance, their movements slow but unnervingly coordinated. The vines and roots on the church floor began to stir, slithering towards my feet. There was no stand power to call upon, only my wits and my knowledge. I was a botanist in a sentient, hostile garden. I saw the network of roots glowing faintly under the floorboards, all leading back to the pulsing orchid. That was the heart. I had to sever it. I sprinted past the advancing villagers, their hands grasping at me like thorny branches. I used my knowledge of plant biology against them. I knew which vines had weaker tensile strength, which pollens could act as temporary irritants. I threw a pouch of collected spores at them, creating a momentary diversion as they coughed and recoiled. It wouldn't hold them for long. I vaulted over the altar, my goal in sight. The orchid pulsed faster, brighter, as if sensing the threat. The entire church groaned, the wooden beams straining as the roots below thickened and writhed. The villagers were closing in, their movements becoming faster, more desperate. I grabbed a heavy bronze candelabra from the altar. It wasn't a weapon of brute force, but a tool. I jammed the base of it into the soft earth beneath the orchid, using it as a lever. The roots fought back, wrapping around the metal, around my arms, trying to pull me down, to make me part of the soil. The sweet scent was overwhelming now, a poison trying to lull me into submission. But my will, my life, was my own. With a final desperate roar, I put all my weight into it. There was a sound like tearing flesh, a high-pitched shriek that was both plant and animal. The golden light of the orchid flickered, sputtered, and died. A wave of energy washed through the church. The villagers collapsed, not dead, but as if waking from a long, dreamless sleep. The vines receded, their unnatural glow fading. The air cleared, the sickly sweet scent replaced by the simple, honest smell of damp earth and stone. I didn't wait to see the aftermath. I ran from the church, from the garden, from the village of sleeping puppets. I didn't stop until the sun was high in the sky and the air smelled only of pine and wild herbs. Now, miles away, the memory of that golden light still burns behind my eyes. I look at the simple, common wildflower in my hand, its beauty honest and finite. I sought a life of quiet growth, but I found a terrifying truth, that life, true life, is defined by its imperfections, its struggles, and its end. A paradise without individuality is not a paradise at all. It's a prison with beautiful bars. The world is full of bizarre things, and some of the most dangerous bloom like a flower. Thanks for watching.